back. Today, the big one. This will be my top 10 books of 2022. A few rules to go over for myself. So I'm going to allow rereads, I'm going to allow multiple books from the same author, and I'm going to allow multiple books from the same series. So I know that some booktubers don't do that to try and keep their lists diverse, but I want mine to be as accurate as possible to how I feel about the books. So, like most things, I'm going to start with a few contenders. So, as far as contenders go, first up we have Sharpe's Tiger. Did not make my top 10, but certainly was a contender. A great action set piece book with some fantastic characters. Sharpe's Tiger was the first book, a Sharpe book that I read, and it's the first one in the chronology, and a very good book indeed. The next contender I have for you guys is from this. This is Jane Austen, the novels, and it was Pride and Prejudice, a book that came very, very close to getting into my top 10. It took a little while to get going, and despite a fantastic ending and some of the best dialogue of the year, didn't quite make it into the top 10. A book that was an early contender was Prince of Thorns, a book that has, some of these books have gone up in my estimation as I've spent time thinking about them and considering them over the year. This one fell out of my top 10. Still a very good, concise, hard punch of a book, but not quite good enough to make the top 10. And my final contender for the top 10 was The Last Wish. This is the first short story collection for the world of The Witcher. Great humour. A couple of the stories didn't hit as hard as some of the others, but all in all, a very, very good book. I think I gave this like a 4.2 or 4.3 out of 5, and very close to making the top 10. So, drum roll, the top 10. Here we go. At number 10, Royal Assassin by Robin Hobb. This, I thought, was stronger than Assassin's Apprentice. I think it had the page count to give Robin Hobb room to explore the characters and the plot better. I thought this was a fantastic all-round fantasy book and well deserving of being number 10 in my top 10. At number 9, The Great Hunt, the second book in the Wheel of Time, a book I felt did a lot better than the first book, Eye of the World, which is a book I really like as well. But this book really upped the stakes, increased the character development, and really kind of just did everything better than Eye of the World, and has got me really excited to carry on in the Wheel of Time. At number 8, not this book, not King of Thorns, because I don't have Emperor of Thorns in front of me because my copy was damaged, but Emperor of Thorns was the final book in the Broken Empire trilogy, and a book that I felt really delivered on what Mark Lawrence was trying to do throughout the trilogy. All the parts converged nicely, a very satisfying ending, and a good book indeed. Then at number, where are we now? 10, 9, 8. Number 7, The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. A book early in the year that I thought might even make my top 5. This is a book that is really propelled by my love for two characters, Sandan Glockter and Giselle Danlifa. Their chapters in this book are some of the best moments of the year for me, though the book ultimately fell off in my estimation as I read some better books throughout the year. At number 6, my first Stephen King read. This is Salem's Lot. What a horror book. What a fantastic slice of life book. Great character. The town itself is a character, and you get to know all of the inhabitants, and what happens to them or what doesn't happen to them is really the thing that propelled me through this story. Fantastic story writing by Stephen King. Yeah, well-deserved 6th place there. Now into the top 5. And without a shadow of a doubt, at number 5, Joe Abercrombie is back. Before They Are Hanged, I think, is a better book than The Blade Itself in almost every way. It takes some of those characters that didn't really hit home with me in the first book and expands upon them. People like Logan Ninefingers and Baez and stuff really didn't come into their own until this book. And more than that, the siege in this book. What a fantastic siege. I love sieges, so maybe I'm a little bit biased, but this book I found to be more entertaining and more rewarding than the Blade itself, and I'm really excited for Last Argument of Kings early next year. At number 4, a book I was never expecting to put into my top 10. This is Malice by John Gwynne. Now, I wasn't excited by the cover, but I had heard some really good things about John Gwynne, and I think everything that people had said about John Gwynne's writing style was basically bang on. I don't think he has the best world building, though it's decent, and I don't think he has the greatest prose, but his characters, his plotting and story, his themes are all spot on, and this was a very compelling and entertaining read from start to finish. I can't believe it's over 600 pages. It felt like 200. It just flew by, and the ending to this book, I mean, I cannot wait for the next book in this series. At number 3, a book that I can't believe is not at number 2, and that is Return of the King, the third book in the Lord of the Rings. This is, in my opinion, the greatest good versus evil story that I've ever read. It really is the culmination of all those kind of deep, integrated themes that Tolkien has kind of weaved through his whole legendarium, from Silmarillion all the way through The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. And this is a book that really affected me and moved me. And if you haven't read it, I'm sure, if you like fantasy, you've probably already read it, but what a fantastic book. And then the book that knocked it off of the number 2 slot, I can't believe almost that this isn't the number 1, but War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy is an outstanding book that it made me read it in a way that I've never read a book. After several hundred pages, I knew it was a good book. I was enjoying the characters and the prose. I wanted to see where the story was going. I wanted to see what condition everyone was left in and the country was left in following the invasion by Napoleon. But what really struck me is that I could see myself reflected and my own life choices and my decisions in the characters in this book. And then it went deeper, and I could see the thought processes and the humanity of Leo Tolstoy reflected through those characters to me. And then I found myself comparing myself to Leo Tolstoy through the characters and themes of this book, and it is the reading equivalent of watching Inception, in that you're just tumbling constantly down the rabbit hole over the last kind of like 500 to 700 pages of this book, which is a very long book. Obviously, it is War and Peace, but if you stick with it, if you read it slowly, if you appreciate what the author is doing, I guarantee this will be one of your favourite books too. And then the book that knocked it off, I have to say, is The Fellowship of the Ring, in at number 1. It's the greatest book that I read this year. It's, if not the greatest book I've ever read, probably in the top 5. It is the perfect slice of life book. It is a book of pure, virtuous themes. It is a book of unbelievably poetic prose. In fact, the best prose of any of the books I've listed in this list today. They all pale in comparison to The Fellowship of the Ring. It is a beautifully written book. It is a book that delights me. You only have to look anywhere on the internet to see people that love this book, that want to live in this world, that appreciate how it makes them feel, and the perspective it gives them in their life. It is an infinitely quotable book, and you just have to visit Goodreads to see some of the great things people say about it and the quotes that they pull from it. The Fellowship of the Ring at number 1, the best book I read in 2022.